All right, today we're going to dive into a really fascinating documentary investigation called the Zakar Project. It explores a pretty profound historical question by connecting ancient scripture with modern history. And it does it in a way that's, well, it's both compelling and pretty controversial. So let's start piecing together the evidence they present.
So at the very heart of this whole thing is one single, powerful question. It's basically asking this: can you find direct, verifiable links between the unique experience of the African diaspora, specifically during the transatlantic slave trade, and a very specific set of patterns that are laid out in the Hebrew scriptures? This framing is key because it's not stating a fact, it's presenting a historical mystery that needs to be explored.
And the project's name, Zakar, that itself gives us the central theme. See, Zakar is a Hebrew word and it means to remember. So right away, you know this isn't just about dry history, it's about the act of remembrance, about recalling a heritage and an identity that the project argues has been lost or maybe even systematically erased. Okay, so the investigation kicks off with its first set of clues. These are drawn directly from scripture, and they really form the textual foundation for the entire argument.
The main source they pull from is one specific chapter, Deuteronomy 28. Now, in this chapter, there's a list of very specific consequences, or curses as they're called, that are laid out for breaking a national promise, or a covenant. The Zakar Project really zooms in on just how unique these consequences are.
And the first clue they highlight is remarkable for just how specific it is. You know, it's not just some vague prediction of hardship. It's symbolized by a very distinct, very physical object, a yoke of iron on your neck. It's a tangible description, and the project flags this as a key identifier.
The next clue is, wow, it's maybe one of the most central points of the entire investigation. It describes a captivity that happens in ships, which then leads to a state of slavery where people are literally sold to their enemies. The method of transport here, by sea, is an absolutely crucial detail. Now, this next pattern points to a complete loss of identity. The text says this people will become a proverb and a byword. So what does that mean? It means they'd be known by derogatory labels, by classifications that are forced on them by others instead of being known by their own name. And to show this isn't just a one-off idea, the project pulls from other parts of the Bible, like the book of Jeremiah. Here, the pattern continues with a super explicit prediction of a loss of heritage, a complete disconnection from your own culture and traditions. So, let's just recap the scriptural clues. We've got suffering with iron yokes, captivity by ship, and a total loss of name and heritage.
Okay, let's move on to the second set of clues and see how this all starts to build. Here, the project shifts away from ancient texts and focuses on the verifiable, documented historical record of the transatlantic slave trade. The historical record kicks off with just a sheer staggering scale of what happened. We're talking an estimated 12.5 million Africans forcibly transported by ship across the Atlantic. They were scattered globally, not just to America, but to Europe, Brazil, the Caribbean. It was one of the largest forced migrations in all of human history.
And the type of slavery, it was unique. This was chattel slavery, where people were legally defined as property. Its impact was designed to be generational. It was permanent, it was passed down to children, and it involved the systematic destruction of the family unit. And critically, it also involved the deliberate erasure of who you were, through forced renaming, all to sever your cultural and ancestral tie.
This here really documents that process of identity replacement. Look at this. Over centuries, the descendants of this group have been assigned one external label after another, from Negro to colored to black, and then to African American. Each term, imposed by the dominant culture, reflects this continuous state of being defined by others.
So, now we've got two sets of clues, right? A scriptural pattern and a historical record. The core method of the Zakar Project is just to lay these two sets of evidence side by side and ask a really simple question. Do they match up?
And this first comparison is incredibly direct. On the left, scripture mentions a yoke of iron. On the right, the historical record gives us the actual physical artifacts, the iron shackles, collars, and yokes that are preserved in museums today as direct evidence of that bondage.
Okay, the second comparison, it connects the prophecy of captivity in ships with the historical reality. I mean, the transatlantic slave trade was, by its very definition, a captivity by sea. And that's a fact that's been meticulously documented in shipping manifests, and auction records, and even insurance policies from the time.
And third, the project lines up that scriptural theme of name erasure. Let the name be remembered no more. with the documented, policy-driven practice of forced renaming during slavery. This was something designed specifically to sever ancestral ties and completely erase family lineage.
Now, of course, any credible investigation has to deal with counterarguments. For instance, people often say, hey, lots of different groups experienced slavery, and the project's framework addresses this by focusing its analysis on those unique things we just talked about: the unbelievable scale, the permanence of it, and the systematic erasure of lineage that really defined this specific form of chattel slavery.
So this brings us to a really crucial point about the project's purpose. It's designed to present evidence in correlations, positioning itself as an investigation, not some kind of final verdict.
The mission, they state, is all about constructive goals. The aim is to use this investigation to foster accountability, to enable identity recovery for people who've been disconnected from their heritage, and ultimately to focus on healing and education by just presenting correlations that really demand a serious look.
And this is key, really. The entire framework is so carefully built to avoid any claims of racial or spiritual superiority. That's not the point. The focus stays squarely on the psychological and cultural impact of what it means for people to lose their identity and what it might mean for them to recover it.
A final piece of scripture the project uses seems to just perfectly summarize its core motivation. This idea that a people can be destroyed for a lack of knowledge? Well, it frames this entire act of remembering, of Zakar, as an act of survival and restoration.
And so in the end, the Zakar Project doesn't just hand us an answer. Instead, it leaves us with a question that really echoes long after you've seen all the evidence. What truly is the power of a memory restored?